Yep.
Then you can form your questions on what you hear me tell you.
Oh, I like that.
I started off when I was 18, went into the Merchant Navy on the RMS Queen Elizabeth as a steward. And as you probably don't know, but now that ship is at the bottom of Hong Kong Harbour. It sank. A very mysterious fire. I was nowhere near it.
That's a good thing.
Then when I left the Navy, I walked into a pub in the Green, which I'd never heard of, and I met a recruiting sergeant. And the rest is history. That's how I joined the army. When I did come out of the army, I came to a place called Basildon, again, which I'd never heard of, and joined Basildon Police Station here as a police officer. Then I was a driving instructor for 30 years, and I've just semi-retired as a blue light ambulance driver. So if any of you need medical attention, like cardiac arrest, for God's sake don't let go, I'm your man. Do you do first aid here at school?
We do sometimes in Thrive.
Sorry?
We do sometimes in Thrive.
All right.
Just like learning how
So
to
what
be
have you
safe.
learned so far?
We are learning how to like be safe on the roads and stuff. And online. Yeah, and online.
Uh-huh.
We're learning how to be safe online. So we don't accidentally like leak our personal information.
All my jobs, all the jobs that I've done and everything that I've done in my life have been as a duty of care. First the Navy, and when I was in the Navy on the Queen Elizabeth, I was very honoured. I met people like Bob Hope, Shah of Persia, Marilyn Monroe, people like that. Probably people you've never even heard of, but they were stars of the screen in that era. So let's fire away with the questions then, boys and girls. What do you want to know?
Yeah, you can start.
Was there any education?
Was there any what?
Education.
Oh yes. When you join the army, as a civilian, I got sent to Canterbury, Howe Barracks at Canterbury, and you do everything. You do education, physical exercise, maths, English, because my first posting was in Germany, so therefore it would help if we spoke a little German before we got out there, which I do. It's been a long time since I've used it, but I can do it. But yes, there is a very thorough education, because at the end of the day, when you're in the army or any of the forces, you've got to understand the way things work, the way a weapon works, what happens when you pull this lever, what happens when you pull that lever. So that all comes into the education side of it, yeah?
Okay. How did you or your family feel when you had to be evacuated?
No. I was born in October 1945. Now, before you work that out, it makes me 79.
Okay.
And the war was all finished then. So I was very lucky. I had two wonderful parents. Who brought me up the proper way. The proper way being saying please and thank you, opening the doors to people, letting ladies go first on the bus, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Which unfortunately today doesn't seem to exist.
Not really.
And I get very cross, believe me.
Where you evacuate?
Sorry, say that again?
Were you evacuated?
Were you evacuated?
No,
No, he wasn't. He was a veteran.
no.
Kai, what's your question?
How long did it take you to get to the countryside?
How long did it what?
How
Take-
long did it take you to get to the countryside?
Did you have family that were in an evacuation?
No.
No, you didn't. So move
No,
on to the next
I was
question.
very lucky. I only had a small family, and we were all in tents, which is where I was born, and where I was born and brought up.
Where were you moved to?
Where was I?
Moved to?
When you was a veteran, where did you go to?
Do you mean when you joined up in the Navy or the
Yeah.
Army?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you joined up and left home, where was the first place you went to?
The first place I went to was a training barracks at Lingfield, and then we were transferred, the whole battalion moved out to a place called Munster in Germany, where I spent 3 years. And that's where I found out places like Sandlager. And if you try and speak, there's a little piece of advice for any of you. If you go to a foreign country, always try and learn the word please, thank you, in that language, and people will think a lot of you. In other words, trying to speak their language. They love it.
Where were you living when World War II started?
Speak up.
Where were you living when World War II started?
Oh, I wasn't born.
Right.
Where were your family?
The family? Yeah, the family were in Kent. We've always been in Kent. My father, God rest his soul, he owned a newspaper in Kent, in Ashford, called the Kentish Express. He started off as the office boy, he ended up as the manager. And that was the days of hot print, where newspapers were printed somewhat differently to what they are today.
How did you or your family feel?
How do you what?
How did your family feel when you went into the army? Oh.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good question, well done. Well, you see, when I was in the Merchant Navy, when I was on the boats, I remember we went to the Vatican in Rome. And I phoned my mother and I told her where I was. And she said to me, I remember her words, she said to me, where's that?
We learn that in geography now, don't we? Rome, the Vatican, it's a big tourist place now that you can go and visit, but that's where he was based.
Well, the thing was that when we went into the Vatican, I went in with a friend of mine, Aubrey Arnold, his name was, and he was a Roman Catholic. I'm a Christian, I'm not a Roman Catholic, he was. And as we walked towards the altar, from the right-hand side room, the Pope came out with one of his entourage. So he was absolutely over the moon. Yes, young man.
Did your family have to ration?
Did my family?
Have to ration?
No. Again, primarily because we were at the end of the war. The war had just finished.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any advice for living a long and healthy life?
Any advice for what?
Living a long and healthy life.
Oh, what a good question. A man who's single, lives alone and does all his own cooking. Yes, just be grateful for what you have got. don't try and make it better, just try and make it more fun. All the jobs I've done have been to look after other people. And where I live in Old Dean Shelters Accommodation, we have a lady there, Maggie, who I have actually saved her life 3 times because she's gone into cardiac arrest and I've had to do the business. So just be grateful for what you see. One of the things that I notice a lot today is that a lot of children don't respect their parents. Some of the language I hear children use, I wouldn't hear soldiers use language like it. So be grateful for what you've got, stick to the rules, be polite and try and get on with everybody. See, one of the reasons for wars and places that I had to serve, all the trouble was caused by 2 words, religion and race. These 2 things cause more aggravation than anything I know. Sorry, but you did ask.
Go on, Jeremy, your question.
Was it difficult to get everything you need back then when you were younger?
Was it?
Was it difficult to get everything you need back when you were younger?
Get everything back.
Was it difficult to get everything you need to like food and like groceries
No,
when you were younger?
no, because the simple reason is that where I lived in Kent, there's a village called Chorrock. My mother and father used to grow our own. So we had our own cabbages, rhubarb, potatoes. We had half a dozen hens, so we had fresh eggs. All that sort of thing. Because in those days, in the days when I was a youngster, when I was your age, I never left home until I was 16. But when I was your age, we used to cook all our own stuff out of the garden. My mum, if she was going to make a pie, she said, do us a favour, son, go and get us rhubarb. And I'd go out and cut it off the bush.
Another question from me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Were your clothes new or did you have to wear hand-me-downs?
No. My clothes were not hand-me-downs. Again, my parents didn't have a lot of money, because money was quite scarce in those days. But when there used to be a shop called Woolworths. A lot of it came from there, which is the equivalent of Woolworths is probably
B&M's.
yeah,
Yeah. Does everything.
yeah, does a lot. So no, the answer to your question, no, it wasn't really.
Okay.
Pass that back to Mia.
But I think the only piece of advice I can give you children is that, as I say, be grateful for what you have, and be very, very grateful for when you've got parents that love you. Go with it. Don't fight it, because you don't miss them when you're not there.
What year were you born in?
1945, 26th of October.
How old were you when the war started / finished?
Say again?
How old were you when the war started / finished?
So when the war finished, I was just born. Because I was born in October.
Did your family have to do rationing?
That's
Sorry?
why.
Did your family have to do rationing?
Jaden already said that. Jaden already said that.
When you're, even though the war was over, was rationing still in place for your family?
No.
Right, rationing
How would
weren't.
you describe your childhood?
That's a good one.
Say that again?
How could you describe your childhood?
Oh, that's easy. I had a childhood which was supported by my parents. I had a very loving childhood, but also a very respectful one. If my mother said do something, I did it. If not, she used to say, and she had a stock phrase, you wait till your father comes home. And you knew you were going to get a clump. Simple as that. Because in the days when I was a child, respect was absolutely paramount. And this is why I say you guys and girls must think how lucky you are that you've got loving parents giving you advice.
Yeah.
Stick with it.
Did
Be
you?
respectful of your parents at all times. Back in
Absolutely.
the olden days, you couldn't answer back. Because if you did, that was really rude and you'd be sent to your room.
Yes.
And our bedrooms didn't used to have computers or anything in. No books, no crowns, no nice dolls. They were just a room with a bed in. So it was a punishment, wasn't it?
Indeed it was.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have two brothers. One lives in Birmingham. He's my second youngest. And my youngest brother the other one lives in Swelly in South Wales. Unfortunately, we lost our parents this year. And they've been married for 74 years. See, in the days when I was a kid, or when our generation was young, marriage was for life.
Yes.
And this is where the respect took place.
Yes.
And when I hear some of the parents outside talking to some of the children, there's a lack of respect.
Mm.
Do yourself a favour, boys and girls, don't ever disrespect your parents. It is absolutely vital that you never backchat their mum and dad. If you want to know anything, ask your mum or your dad. If they've got the time to answer the question, they will. Go on then, my son, what's the question?
What's the best memory you have from being in the Navy?
Say again?
What's the best memory you have from being in the Navy?
In the Navy?
Yeah, what's the best memory you have?
The best memory was we were on the Queen Elizabeth, which was 83,000 tonne, which at the time she was the biggest liner going. And we were going out to Nassau because although I was only 17, by the time I was 19, I'd been around the world about 14 times. But I digress. We were going eastbound towards Nassau, and coming the other way was the RMS Queen Mary, which is a sister ship. Now, all the passengers, we used to call them bloods, so that was a shortcut. All the passengers moved from starboard side to the port side. An 83,000 tonne ship did that. The Queen Mary's coming this way, and they went from port to starboard, and the Queen Mary did that. And we passed within half a mile, and both ships were at a very acute angle. That's one of the most. Another thing that I remember, we were coming out from Cape Town, and when you weren't on duty in the restaurant, you used to do a lot of fishing. and one of the chefs caught a shark. Now, it took that man 8 hours, and somebody helped him because he was running out of strength. Took him 8 hours to land it. Evil looking thing. So being a chef, once he had got it on board, and bearing in mind the Queen Elizabeth was 14 decks high, so it's a long way to wind up the heavy fish. He chopped it up and kept the teeth.
Wow.
Lucky.
Any other questions?
Have you ever met any soldiers from England or Germany?
Met any other soldiers from?
England or Germany?
Oh yes, yeah, I know several Germans. In fact, where was I? I went into Basildon Police Station to do one night because I was a special constable. And somebody shouted out my name. No, I'll tell a lie. I got into the bar and a voice shouted out, "Corporal, get your hair cut." And it was my training sergeant from the battalion. Now, I'd not seen Terry since we left Bahrain. And that was in 68 when we left there. Because we were in Bahrain keeping down the terrorists.
Wow.
And Terry Pagani was my MTO sergeant, or motor transport officer. And I remember I went to him once and I said, "Terry," I said, "can you put me on a driving carder?" That means I wanted to drive. I wanted to be taught how to drive. His words, and I won't use them exactly because they were quite bad. His words to me were, "You will never drive as long as you've got a hole in your mouth." And he said to me, "Hey mate," he said, "what are you doing for a living?" Well, at the time I was a driving instructor.
Brilliant.
Oh.
So there you go.
You got one more, Jeremy?
I've got one more.
Okay.
Do you ever get any injuries?
The only injury I have now suffered, I had a heart attack, I've had face cancer, I've had a stroke, but apart from that I'm very healthy. In fact, I had a medical 5 days ago. My heart rate is 150 over 85, which is probably better than yours. But I put that down to the way my mother and father fed me, or made us eat the food that we did. Fresh food, fresh veg.
No processed meat or anything.
No.
Say again?
No processed meat.
Oh God, no. The word McDonald's didn't come into the conversation.
No. What we're talking
See, the thing is, that stuff is evil. It does you no good whatsoever. I have a McDonald's maybe once every 5-6 months. But normally when I cook my own food, I mean last night I had, what did I have for dinner last night? Oh no, it was new potatoes, fresh veg, and what are those fish called?
Cod.
Cod.
No.
Salmon. Tuna.
The little ones.
Sardines.
Sardines.
No.
Pilchards.
I can't think of the bloody name of that. But no, fresh fish.
Some fish with new potatoes and lots of lovely veg. All fresh
Mackerel.
food.
Is it mackerel?
No. It'll come to me in a minute.
It'll come in a little while.
Cod, salmon.
Jaden.
Did you have a favourite hobby as a kid?
That's
Not as a kid, no. I didn't have a hobby there. I've got a hobby now. I play keyboard.
Cool.
Well, I've taught myself to play.
My uncle plays keyboard in a church.
I
Does he?
Yeah.
that's usually
Well, perhaps he'd be good enough to teach
No,
me to
he's
read music.
I used to play keyboard.
Right.
Rusty though.
What was your least favourite moment in World War II?
He wasn't in
He
the
wasn't in
World
Or
War
War
after?
I won't answer that question, not because I don't want to, but some of the things that I've seen when I was on service, and a lot of servicemen will tell you this, are too horrible to mention, and they're locked away right at the back of the ear, and you take the key out and throw it away. Because wars don't solve problems.
Just creepy.
We have, I'm not going to get into politics, but we have certain people who run certain countries stirring things up. And all it does is it makes it worse. We are very lucky in this country that we have a society which is bred by us. And again, don't ruin it for yourselves, boys and girls. If you can go through being respectful, you will get the utmost respect back. If somebody opens a door for you, as you go through, look back and say, thank you. That's all it takes. Or if you're waiting for a bus. I've just been diagnosed that I've got 2 hernias. Now that means that I sometimes have to walk with a stick. And one of the dangers of getting on a bus at Bitsy is
Is it a hernia when a muscle is popped out of your stomach? Because my mum has one.
there you go. Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
One of the dangers of getting on a bus in Pitsea and indeed at Belmore's is school time. When you're waiting for a bus, make sure you don't jump on before the first person waiting. Because, again, it's bad manners. And this proves that they're not being taught it at home. I know I keep going on about it, but it is very, very important that we have faith, good manners and respect.
Thank you so much, boys.
If you were to go back in time to do, like before you were born, to do anything to do with wars, what would you do?
Oh, God. Oh my word. Back in time. I
Right.
would have to think very carefully about that one. Didn't we?
If you were born before the war, and you had anything to do with World War II. So what I was saying, if you were born before the war
Yes.
and you could serve in the war at that time, what would you do?
I'd probably be at the back of the queue to get on a boat. Because most of the damage had been done to the lads that were in the lead boats on the landing craft, especially during the D-Day landing. I don't know, it's a very, very in-depth question, that young man. Well done.
There's lots of things he could be.
If you were to pick, have you liked what people have done with the world now, or would you like to rather live in the world that you were back then?
No. The world we live in today, I've got 2 daughters, Carol and Jill. And Carol, who's the eldest, reckons she's got the most technophobic dad in the world. Because I keep pace with technology, I've got an iPhone in my pocket, which I know how to work. I've got an electronic memory bank keyboard, which I know how to work. And I find that the world is moving, invention-wise, very quickly. With people like Dyson and the Apple man, they can afford to do it. I just wish, as I said before, I've done a job which has been care for life all the time. I wish I had money that I could do more than what I have. Come on.
You can be a king. Which country would you be a king of, and what would you do?
You want to be the king.
So if you could be a king, which country would you be a king of, and what would you do back then?
Oh, that's a big question, that is. We'll come back to that.
I'll come back to that. 'Cause
Nick.
That is a monster question.
Nick, can we have a photo of you? Because they've got to get back to class because
Oh,
their
yes, of
parents
course.
will be here soon. If I turn your chair around and get a picture with all the boys and girls in the background, is that okay? Put it on that's it, you sit there. The kids all get around and then I can get a nice photo of you all together.
And thank you very much indeed, boys and girls.
Thank you.
Good set of questions.
Ready? Lovely questions that you've all done. Brilliant picture. Excellent. I've got to get them back because your mum's in now to pick you up now. Logan's come along. That